הוא יכול לעשות, למה אני...
Let's just do. All right, my friends. So, before we continue the review, I do just want to go over a few points that the 39 Malachas that Sefer makes about Zohar. About Zohar that are relevant. He says, first of all, you shouldn't shake off dust into the wind. And your own breath counts like dust also, which means you shouldn't blow dust off a surface. It's already a chiddush. You shouldn't blow dust off of a surface because your wind, your breath, is separating the dust into the wind, to your wind. All according to the Rama. Shooting a toy squirt gun in the wind, same thing. Okay. Now, he brings Reb Moshe. This is a famous tshuva. Reb Moshe says that you are allowed to use aerosol spray cans, for example, deodorant. Right? You can't use spray paint. That's obviously not allowed in Shabbos anyway. But in terms of deodorant, Reb Moshe says you're allowed to because he says the air pressure that's in the can, that's not wind. Wind is wind. Air pressure is air pressure. It's not the same. So therefore, it's not considered Zohar.
What's the difference in coming out?
I mean, it spreads out when you press it. So inside the
liquid that gets
sprayed out, scattered, right?
Why is that not the same thing?
Because it's not being spread by the wind. In other words, you're allowed to take a liquid and spread it in ways other than the wind. It's the wind. Zohar is specifically a wind-aided spreading.
Not air?
Air? No.
Not air.
Doesn't say air. Wind. That's what happened in the Mishkan. The air spread. Even that's not like this, like you were pointing out, that it's only the Ramah based on the Yerushalmi. Most places don't bring it. But according to the Yerushalmi, the essence of Boyer is the spreading in the wind, not the selecting per se. Okay, but that's if the wind does it, not if there's another force that's not called wind doing it. And based on that, he says the same thing as using in the sink. You have that little hose that comes out, press it, and the water shoots out in different streams. So, but that's the water pressure that's separating the water. It's not the wind. Similarly, he says if you have a vaporizer with cold water, you're allowed to add water to the vaporizer. You can't add water to a hot water vaporizer because that's cooking the water. But a cold water vaporizer, what does it do? I mean, it separates the water into mist. It's not a malacha. I mean, the electricity of it is on already. You're not turning it on. It's already on. You're just adding water to it. The fact that it's separating the water into mist, to vapor, is not considered a malacha. So that's important. The same thing, a pump, that matter, I don't know if they make them anymore, but a pump deodorant can is the same thing.
What is the difference?
It's like,
what is the
it works the same way with cleaning materials. Have a little pump. You know what I'm saying? You spread it in again, there's no wind involved. It's just the pressure of the system in there pushing it out. Yes?
They use a CPAP machine or whatever is for sleep apnea. A lot of them have where you put water in. So it becomes a vapor. You can adjust its number. I think it's heated up, but it never gets very hot.
I mean, I don't know how the machine works per se, so it's hard for me to answer. But if it gets warm but not heated, that's not a malacha. If it becomes vapor, it's not a malacha. Question is if there is any electrical change as a result of you adding the water. You know what I'm saying? Does that affect the system at all?
It's like a container of water.
Mm-hmm.
It has a metal part in the bottom and it sits on another metal part, which I'm assuming is how it gets heated up. And it's never hot because I put my finger in it many times. During use, it's not hot.
Right.
It's room temperature.
Right.
But what it does is it causes vapor to go into the air to go through the tubes. So I have another shiloh with that. That's most of these machines, you can leave them on the whole Shabbos. But when you breathe in and out, it changes the pressure back and forth. Is that a problem?
And how does that affect the machine?
Pardon me?
How does that affect the machine, those changes in the pressure?
I don't know. I know something's got to change. It senses your breathing. And by the way you breathe,
And it adjusts accordingly?
Yeah.
I once had a Rav who's from Israel, who actually is one of the Rosh Kolos at Mordechai Eliyahu's Smicha, the big yeshiva there. He actually spent my Shabbos at my house, and he brought one of those machines.
Really?
And he was using it, and I had the same question. I said, so how does that work? So he said the same thing. He said he turns it on before Shabbos. Use it over Shabbos. There's no issue.
Mhm.
I didn't get to the whole mechanics, but I figured. I mean,
Which machine?
he's ensconced with one of the biggest smicha institutes in Israel. So
Nice.
without knowing the details of it, I would assume that it should be.
A lot of people that use it.
CPAP. It helps a person who shouldn't snore.
Oh,
Helps you breathe at night.
Hope it keeps your blood pressure so you don't snore. So maybe it's considered sakana if you don't use it. I don't know.
Sakana. That's a whole other question. That would have to be a sakana.
My
If
understanding of
it's
apnea is that it's not about snoring. It's about that the airways can get constricted,
Yeah, well,
and
that's
then
what
you can
causes
lose the
snoring.
ability to breathe. So it's
and then you wake up. It's not that the person dies. Then he wakes up.
No. There's two parts of it.
Yeah.
One is that you stop breathing.
yeah.
The other part is your heart could stop. If your heart stops, if it doesn't kick in right away, it's pushing up daisy stuff.
Really?
So, but the main thing that I understand is the breathing. I had a sleep test recently,
Uh-huh.
and they told me 1 hour I stopped breathing 67 times.
Wow.
So then they keep the machine. So I'm never sure what.
Oh,
So what happens? You stop breathing, and then what?
When you use the machine,
No, I was saying without the machine. What would happen?
then I start breathing again.
You stop and you
But you
start.
stop. So
But
you
that's
probably
where the
lose
danger is.
oxygen, and
I think without the machine, people just don't sleep as well.
He told me that his father, Avishon, or maybe he's not Avishon, hope he's still around.
One second, I had the volume on mute, so whoever was trying to talk didn't hear a word. But anyway, Shmuel was talking now. Go ahead.
So he said that his father used to snore a lot,
Yep.
and his mother was always so happy when he stopped snoring. They said what she didn't understand was when he stopped snoring, he
He
stopped
wasn't
breathing.
breathing.
That's what it is. So he said it's not such a simple thing.
there may be a sakana aspect to it. But anyway, like I said, I have this
Yeah,
big rough to go by, and these.
it might depend also on the machine itself. There might be different machines. Some
Right.
machines only have.
He just
one-
turned it on and left it on all
Yeah,
Shabbat.
that's what I did.
That's what he done.
Yeah, some machines only have one pressure, so it doesn't sense your breathing. It just has that one pressure.
Right. I don't know. It's really a question that has to be looked into. But if the Rab from Aviliyahu's Koil looked into it and it's mutter,
Yeah,
unless it's only because of a sakana, then it's an individual psak.
Yeah.
Or if it's just the way the
It
machine
seemed to
works,
me
then
like
it's a
he was
general
like-
thing.
Like it wasn't that individual.
Right.
If you happen to come across something like that, appreciate hearing about it.
So David is asking that he heard that one should not use aerosol deodorants on Shabbos, and if there is different opinions about that. And I honestly don't know. But I haven't come across any machmir opinions. He brings in the Dirshu that the Minchas Yitzchak is Mekel, Yashiv, Moshe we mentioned already. So I don't know, honestly. Are there machmir? Maybe. I can't say there aren't because I haven't learned everybody. Let me see from before I talks about Zohar here. No, I'm okay. Thank you. It doesn't talk about Zera, so I don't know. I don't know. The reason that one could be machmir with deodorant is because of the smell. Alter Rebbe holds that you cannot introduce a new smell even onto a body, even onto a human body. Mishnah Berurah says that it's only an isser on clothing or on other kalim, but on a human body where it wears off quickly, it's not a significant act of moeded. So that's where there's makam lahachmer. Maybe you heard it about that because of the smell aspect. So, yeah.
Is there such thing as a non-scented deodorant?
Yeah, there is.
So would the non-scented go for that?
Yeah. There is no not. Besides the stick deodorant, obviously, which has machik issues. Okay. So, sorry? The roll-on? That's okay. That's a liquid underneath a ball. So it's not, doesn't really do anything. I mean, the truth is it might take out hairs, but that you have to, that's only a test. Yeah, if it's not upsic ratio, then it's okay. All right, my friends, here goes. I copied and sent you only the new ones from yesterday because I didn't want to make you print out all the pages from yesterday. But if you do want to merge it into one document in your computer, you can. Okay. I'm starting from number 34. What do you have there?
It starts at 34, then goes down.
You have yesterday's? You have yesterday's?
Yeah.
Oh, I sent the new one out. Sorry. At like 7:45.
Yeah, that's right.
Wait,
7:46.
you sent the new one, but we didn't finish this.
So we'll finish that one first. Oh, you're right. Why am I saying 34? We'll start from the one from yesterday where I'm up to, and then we'll continue with the new one. Thank you. Good point.
I think it's 12, 11 or 12.
11 or 12. Yeah, definitely 11 we did. Let's start from 12. One may remove all the small apples and oranges from a bowl and leave the large ones, but may not place the apples and oranges in separate piles. Okay, this seems self-evident. We've said many times that all the small or all the big is mutter, as long as you're not separating between the apples and the oranges. Now, while you're taking out the small ones from the big ones, you have to put them down in one pile. You can't say, well, I'm already taking them out anyway. I may as well put the apples on one side and the oranges on the other side, because that is selecting.
The first one you take out, is that considered separated?
Why not?
Because you don't have this apple and oranges.
Yeah, but if your intent is not to take out the apple, to take out the small one, it happens to be an apple, that's okay.
You had mentioned, I think a while back, if you take one out, or what do you call it? You shouldn't have taken out. Okay, and you put it back right away, it's okay. Am I correct in that, or?
One more time, sorry.
If you have a wall and you have different things, and you put your hand and you take out what you didn't want, and you realize that you put it right back, is that okay?
You actually don't have to put it back. As long as when you took it, you didn't intend to take it. It's my mistake, let's not hold them alone. Yeah.
If I may backtrack a little bit, why did we allow to take out from the same species just different types of the same species? For example,
Like small and big?
Yeah.
Because that's not called a different species. Small and big are not called different species. Unless, by the way, they have a different function. This is important. Unless they have a different function, they're not called a different species. Small apples, big big deal. You know what I'm saying?
different types of apples.
Different types of apples, yes.
Same
Saying
apple?
sour apple, sweet apple, Granny Smith, that's different. But small and big apples are not different unless they have a different function. Like, for example, if you want to talk about knives, maybe a small knife is good for an individual person, but a big knife is good for the kitchen. I'm saying they're used in different ways. So that would be, that would make it into a different utensil. See what I'm saying?
So, or is only with a different mint.
Exactly.
It has to be, where do we learn that from? That it's not the same mint? Why wouldn't the salt make it?
Where do we learn that it's a different min? Thank you very much. Where do we learn that it's a different min? I mean, where do we learn that it's a different min? Why would it be the same min? Boyer is when you are separating different things.
No matter why you're taking out the small apples.
What does boyer mean? Boyer means you're selecting and separating different minim. So you're fixing it by the fact that it was mixed, and now it's not mixed anymore. You're fixing it. But if it's all the same min, there's no fixing. It's all the same. I mean, the truth is, for argument's sake, since you asked this last week also, the Taz actually is strict about boyer from within the same min. So, but he's a das yachad, and basically the acharim don't paskin like it. They say it's not. I mean, the Gemara's examples are all minim harbe. Hayulfana minim harbe. That's the classic example in the Gemara.
Maybe that's the exact answer.
That's the pashtus, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the pashtus. That's the pashtus. So if you want to say that it includes one min, you need a proof, because that's not the certain.
It sounds like it would be something. Sounds like it wouldn't be like, so everyone's just throwing it under the bus, but if we're separating bad from good, you don't want the big ones, you want to show, or whatever, you don't want the small ones, you want to show big, nice, fancy apples. Taking away smaller of the same min also looks like more,
well, the point is that of course you don't want it, otherwise it wouldn't be a question. But because it's the same min, it's not considered, you're not fixing anything. Just because you don't want it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. That's the whole point. If there's something that's actually wrong with it, like we said, burnt or something else, you know what I mean? It says,
why with other fruits, vegetables, let's say peeling? Why with peeling was it that you had to do it while? Why can't you just do the same thing?
Okay, so it depends. If you're peeling a non-edible peel, so you're separating the bad part of it from the good part of it, right? You have a bad part, you have a good part, you're separating it out. On the other hand, it's tzarech achila. It's the only way you can eat, obviously. So it's mutter because it's tzarech achila. But the whole concept of tzarech achila is that it's right before you eat. If it's not right before you eat, then it's not mutter.
But if it's meaning, so why not in the same min, in the same fruit, can I not remove the?
Are you saying why does it apply when it's the same min?
When it's one fruit.
When it's one fruit. I mean, if you want to go back to the way it was done in the Mishkan, I mean, everything started in one, saying the chita, you crush it, and you're separating between the chaff and the grain. You know what I'm saying? So
As a minute, right?
I mean, in the Gemara, it talks about two different types of food. And that's a chiddush, that it even applies to different types of food. But it certainly applies to one type of food that has oichel and psoilus. Although I did see in Yalkut Yosef that he says that boyer is not shayach when it's davuk, when it's stuck. So I assume he's saying something like what you're saying, that it's actually, in other words, by the oichel and psoilus of the chita, so it's actually not stuck to it. It's just like a chaff, like a husk. So that's when he'll consider it.
Maybe an example, like maybe a chestnut?
Yeah, any nut. The peels are not stuck to it.
Like a peanut.
Peanut, exactly. But once it's stuck to it, like a peel,
Cantaloupe,
anything like that. So he's saying that's not boyer because that's not a separate psoilus. That's the psoilus of the thing itself.
So there's no boyer there?
I think he says there's no boyer.
So mango.
How do I cancel it? I have 18% of all your phone's stuff on my computer now.
Really?
Yeah.
My
I just
phone?
canceled it now, but whatever. Anyway.
My phone?
Using it.
Yeah, I just want to see the Yalkut Yosef and make sure I'm getting the right shot.
I cancel it now?
I canceled it now, yeah.
Did I cancel or no?
Did you cancel it? I don't know. I already canceled it.
apologize for that. Well, how this works? Because
I want to see that because it's a big nafkamina, by the way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, big.
Because if it's tzarech achila, you can only do it right away. If it's not boyer v'chlal, you can do whatever you want.
No, yeah, I see, it's something here like that.
Here it is. It says you're allowed to peel a banana. It's derech achila. Yesh mekilim afilim kos banana mas lanech be'bayom ve'enech l'alda. So basically, he's quoting that chita, but he's not passing 100%. What do you say?
Yeah, usually not the way that you would say that to do. He's not giving you advice to do that.
Right.
Saying if you see someone do that, don't.
Yes, yeah.
He's about פירות שחליפתן דבוקה בהם מאוד, כגון אגסים, תפוחים, מלפפון, מילון, מנגו וכדומה.
Yeah.
וכשקולפים אותם, נקלף גם חלק מהפרי הדבוק בקליפה, לא שייך בהם דין בורר כלל. בסדר, אז נעים. ומותר לקולפם אפילו אם דעתו לא אוכלם לאחר זמן באותו שבת. שהרי החלק הדבוק בקליפה נחשב כמעורב ימי, ואינו מפרידו מהקליפה. ושאר האוכל אינו נחשב כמעורב עם הקליפה, ואף על פי שחלק מהפרי היוצא עם הקליפה נחשב גם פסולת, שהרי דעתו להשליחו ולא לאכלו, במקום מועיל כמו מין אחד אם שאר הפרי לא שייך בו דין בורר.
wow, חידוש.
Chidush. Nice. Very good.
What is that?
Sorry.
No, here, but what's the
The source? The book. He doesn't bring a source.
which page is that?
Oh, page 91.
91? Just 91?
Very nice. Okay. So let us continue. I see there's a lot of differences between Yalkut Yosef and what is that, halacha bura?
Or halacha.
Or halacha. From whom?
Halacha. I thought it was a Talmud of Rabbi Yitzchak, of the Yalkut Yosef. Is that a scholar from Ovadia and Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef? I'm just going to see his name. Yehuda.
Okay. Who's halacha bura?
That's Rabbi David.
That's Rabbi David Yosef.
I see.
He doesn't have a
That's his brother.
There's no bura. I see. Right. Right. Okay.
There you won't see too many big ones.
I see. Okay. So, number 13, types of clothing or items that have different uses. For example, Shabbos versus birthday clothes are considered different species. That we mentioned yesterday, yeah? Or we just mentioned it now. If it has a different function, it's called a different species. If it doesn't, it's not. So white and blue shirts, are they different? Maybe yeah, maybe no, depending on how you use them. No, I'm doing Torah Shabbal Peh. It's from the Shmiras Shabbat Kehilchso, but I printed it out and I sent it. But it's not. You don't have it in a sefer. Okay, number 14. Okay, this is the opinion of the Shmiras Shabbos and many other achronim, but like I write here, the Alter Rebbe does not agree with it. Nevertheless, here is the Shmiras Shabbos' opinion. Listen carefully. Pesach is coming up. You have to have lechem mishnah. You have to have actually 3 matzahs for every seder plate, whoever wants a seder plate. So you want to separate between the broken ones and the whole ones. Can't do it because each one has a different halachic function, and therefore you're functioning. They function differently. Can't do it. Now, he says an interesting point. If you are putting it on the table for consumption, not for lechem mishnah, and you just want to make 2 piles, one of whole matzahs and one of broken matzahs, then you can do it. Because there you're not using it in the Lechem Mishnah function. So essentially, matzah is matzah. Broken or whole makes no difference. If you have a purpose in the whole one, a halachic purpose in the whole ones, then it's a different function. But if not, not. So that's what it is. Basically what you need to do is, according to this, if you want to get Lechem Mishnah, you have to get it right before the meal and only take what you need. Unless there's another chiddush in the Mishnah Berurah that says that if you need to get to what you need, the only way to get to what you need is to remove what you don't need on top of it. That's not called bayr. That's an important chiddush, because otherwise sometimes it's impossible to get the stuff. You have a pile, you can only take the good, you're going to pull out the matzah, you're going to destroy the whole pile, it's going to go flying. So the Mishnah Berurah says you can pick up the broken matzahs to get to the ones underneath. That's a chiddush in the Mishnah Berurah. It's a whole lamdish thing, by the way. It's not a simple chiddush.
The other one's back?
I think the other one's back. Not a simple thing, but it is. That is the chiddush of the Mishnah Berurah. Although he only says it by two kinds of food or two kinds of garments, not if it's actual psoilus. Not if it's actual psoilus. If what's on top is actually no good, then you can't do it. Basically, the way he explains it is when it's two types of oichel, one's on top of the other, so you're not really fixing it by separating it out. Because it's not really mixed, it's just one on top of the other, and they're both oichel anyway. But when it's psoilus and oichel, even though it's one on top of the other, you, after all, are fixing, even though your intention is just to get what you need, but at the same time you are fixing it, even temporarily, you're not going to put it back. So that's a problem.
If I need to get, let's say, for example, the top of the crate of oranges are not good, I need to get to the bottom ones. Now, if I'm going to have to move the oranges with the side of my hand to get to the bottom,
you don't remove them out of the box, you just push them to the side?
Okay.
That's okay.
Push them to the side?
Yeah, you can put them to the side. That's no problem. That's not called bayr. Bayr is if you remove them. If you move it around within the bowl or box or whatever, that's not bayr. Yeah, that's no problem. Okay, now the Alter Rebbe, I cannot say I looked it up this season yet, but the Alter Rebbe holds that the functionality, the halachic functionality of something does not give it a different status. And therefore, according to Alter Rebbe, you could separate Lechem Mishnah, non-Lechem Mishnah, even milchiks and fleishiks. Later on, I quote the Shmiras Shabbos, who says you can't separate. If you find a milchik spoon in your fleishik drawer, you can't take it out on Shabbos because you're taking out what the bad, so to speak, what you don't want there from the good.
Aren't you taking out what you want? I want to put.
Oh, if you want to put it back. That's called separating. You want means you want to use it, not you want to put it in its place. That's what separating is.
I'm eating an orange. Nice excuse to use my milchik fork.
Yeah, why would that be a problem?
I don't know about an orange, but if you use it for something that's an actual function, I don't see why not.
Yeah, and that's your good.
Yeah. If you actually use it for a necessary function, to use it for an orange seems, I don't know if that counts. You know what I'm saying? Is that real use or it's just kind of a pretend use? I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
So he said, according to the Alter Rebbe, the halachic functionality does not
make it a separate species.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't remember where it's learned, but I do remember from last time. I have to look it up, hopefully for next week, and give you some source for that. But yeah, that's the Alter Rebbe's opinion. Okay, now I mentioned this in the past, so I'm just going to say it quickly. Peels that are edible, some are makel to peel it even with a peeler, even not right before use, because they consider it oichel me'oichel, same species and everything. So you're allowed to use a kli that's made for borer if you're not doing borer. Remember that? We had that in Shin Yutes in the Siman. Yeah. Who remembers? Give me an example.
That is a kli that's made for borer if you're not doing borer.
Exactly.
To stand on?
Not even to stand on. More than that.
Example. If I was using a hat, what's the Rav give an example?
No, I don't have to give that example. It's a much, much more normal example. If you have water that is clear, doesn't need to be strained, you can put it through an actual strainer. You're not doing boyer. You're using a kli that does boyer? Okay, but you're not doing boyer.
What are you doing?
You're making yourself feel good.
What are you doing? You're doing boyer.
You're doing what makes you happy, but that's not called boyer.
What you think is doing boyer. You think it's cleansing in some sort of
Yeah, but that's not called boyer. Just like from the same species is not boyer. Even though in your mind you're happy because you're taking out the big ones, you don't like big ones, but it's not called boyer because it's not accomplishing anything. So this is not accomplishing anything. Now some are machmir.
Why isn't it accomplishing something? How is it accomplishing something? Because it's microscopic.
No, it's microscopic, and first of all, microscopic is a whole new thing, but even it's not microscopic. If it's a type of thing that doesn't bother the average person eats it as is, so that's not called a significant change in the thing. That's not called boyer. Some say if you personally are makbid on it, you should not do it in the actual strainer. That's a strict opinion, but some say you can do it even if you would not drink it without this, but because objectively speaking, this is considered totally drinkable as is, so it's not boyer.
If you have a faucet and the faucet attached the filter automatically, it's there. You open the water, you got water with the filter. You allow it, it's like it doesn't have water.
One more time. Sorry.
You got a
if you have
faucet.
The faucet has a filter on it.
You touch the filter, touch the the bells.
Yeah, absolutely. The poskim all discuss that. I mean, the ones that I saw today, and they say that it's allowed because the water is clean already. The water goes through many, many filters before it gets to your faucet. That's one of many filters. So really, it's already clean, and you're allowed to.
What about the brittle ones that have green light? Then a red light, if it needs to be changed.
You remove the bottle.
Interesting question.
Shabbat.
I had it for years when I wasn't from. Remember that filter? It was on my sink, on my tap. Twist on,
And the red is coming up, right?
whatever.
Now it's no more red because it's gone because the bar is dead.
Wow. No, I had this 10 years ago. I don't know if it was delayed.
So what happens? Like
There's a
once every
vertical
month
there.
or something, it turns on, it turns red?
It was longer than that. It's not that.
And when it stayed green the whole time. When you used it, it turned on and off, or it just stayed green? So that you can't do. That's obsecration. I thought you meant it stayed green the whole time, and once every few months it turned red. That would be something else.
Yeah.
If it's actually turning green, it's a problem.
And if the light is gone because it's been used for a long time,
No question? I
it's
don't know.
okay. Huh?
Yeah. Okay. As far as inedible peels, you can only do it right before use
What number?
without a peeler, 16. Now, those that allow you to peel, edible peel, allow you to use a peeler, like I said, because they don't consider it boyer. So if it's not boyer, you can even use a peeler, even though it's miyuchad leboyer. So you can use a peeler.
What is it?
You can use a peeler, according to the Mekilim, for apples, let's say, because apple peels are fully edible. So you're using a kliyam yuchad leboyer. So what? You're not doing boyer. You're cutting the apple into different pieces.
What about carrots?
Same thing. Same thing. The only now there are machmirim that say no, because after you peel these things, they you no longer eat the peel separately. So therefore, it should be considered psilus, and therefore you should only do it right before eating, and you should not use a peeler. So that's the stricter opinion. But I didn't want to bring out the more lenient opinions also because some people follow them. Even a person who follows a strict opinion on Shabbos may use a peeler on Yom Tov, even for an inedible peel. all right? Because that's the kind of thing that's mutter for oichel nefesh. Peeling something before you eat, before you cook it, that's normally part of the peeling of the cooking process. You know what I'm saying? In general, things that are for tzorech oichel nefesh you can do on Yom Tov. Things that are done in the field, usually, obviously, harvesting, threshing, winnowing, all that stuff you can't do. But things that are done in the kitchen, in the context of cooking, you're allowed to do. So you are allowed to use a peeler on Yom Tov. Somebody actually asked me that the other day, and I looked it up, and you are. Okay. One may spoon out the seeds from the cantler. We said it yesterday. The Shmiras Shabbos says one may cut off a bakery sticker right before eating together with some of the bread, so as not to tear the letters. Okay. He holds that cutting off the sticker is not called boyer because that's derech achila. It's like a peel. But you shouldn't peel it off because you might tear the letters. Oh, this is in Israel. They used to have stickers on the loaves of bread. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
They would have stickers on it.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
You don't have to, you cannot peel it, right?
You couldn't peel it because you might break the letters.
What about if you cut a piece
You
of
could
it?
cut it. You can cut it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I remember that. Wow, a long time
Is
ago.
that the one also for if I have like a bad piece on my apple, can I carve it out? Or avocado, the black piece of an avocado.
Right before eating, yes. Right before eating, yes.
Does it have to do with a piece of big chunk or a big, nice, normal, recognizable piece? It's my wife, for example, she makes avocados and Shabbos, and she takes off the black pieces.
So if you're doing it right before eating, that's okay. That's like a peel. It's no different than a peel. You're allowed to take off a peel, inedible, taking it off.
I don't know if it's edible.
I'm saying if it's edible, it's even better. If it's edible, it's even better because it's all the same mint. I'm saying, but even if it would be inedible, so you say, well, I'm taking the bad from the good. Yeah, you're taking the bad from the good. But when the bad covers the good, when it's stuck to the good, and it's in the way of you're getting to it, that's called derech achila. So that's mutter as long as it's right before eating. Now, if it is edible and it's just a mishagas people have,
No, it's not a Shmiras. It doesn't look nice in a bowl.
okay, I'm saying it.
It doesn't. She actually doesn't eat that. Even if it's just us, she would. Like for those type of people who wouldn't eat specks of black on the avocados.
Right.
Most of the time with the salmon, so they have the dark piece
Uh-huh.
in
I see.
the plate.
Right. Yeah, I hear.
Dark piece. What's the dark piece?
The salmon corner piece.
Even the skin, or the skin's attached.
The skin is not considered a separate type of food.
Same.
It's the same food.
thing.
An edible skin. Edible skin. You can take it off.
No,
Oh, not edible skin?
no,
No,
the scales.
not edible skin. Then you can take it off right before eating. An edible skin you can take off in advance anyway because it's edible. It's like cutting off a piece of the thing. That's the same species. But an inedible skin you can only take off right before eating. Okay, one may remove the stem of a tomato right before eating. One may cut off the peel of the watermelon before eating. One may spoon out the seeds from a cantaloupe right before eating. That's all derech achila. Okay, if you have some leaves of a head of lettuce that are really starting to go bad, you could eat them, but only if you're like really desperate. So that we said is a iser boyer midrabanan, not deraisa, because it is somewhat edible. However, if they're still attached to the head, so you're allowed to take them off and throw them out as you're preparing it for eating, right before eating, that's derech achila. But if they're already separated on the plate, then you can't take the bad out. You have to take the good out and leave them behind. Because once they're separated, that's not derech achila, that's just regular boyer.
Oh, like if you have then you can take and you throw it.
Exactly.
And you wash it. And
Exactly. As long as it's right before eating,
You can
because
cut all
that's
of them
derech
one time
achila.
also?
Yeah, why not? Why not? Derech achila. Okay. One may only remove small bugs together with some lettuce. Basically, big bugs are not considered mixed because they're big. Small bugs are considered mixed, And if you find it, you should take it off together with a piece of lettuce.
What's the getter and what's the difference? I know the difference, but I'm saying what's the halachic difference?
What's the getter? It's hard for me to give the getter because I don't know what's big and what's small. But the Shmiras Shabbos holds that if it's a big bug, it's not considered mixed because it's like it's sitting there. You know what I'm saying? It's not mixed. Small bug that's hard to see and find, that's considered mixed. Hard for me to give you an exact hagdara of this matter. But anyway, if you take it off with some of the leaf, it's okay.
What if it's a small bug,
Yeah.
but not in the crevices or inside the vein of the leaf? Just like the big bug is there, the small bug is there.
Sitting on it.
Right.
Right.
What's the difference?
Right. I hear what you're saying.
Is this saying this next part here that you cannot put the lettuce underwater because it might kill the bugs? Because sometimes we also even put like vinegar in the water to get rid of the bugs. So,
Well, I had trouble writing it because I may be saying that I'm doing the wrong thing every Shabbos. Not me, but my wife, my daughter, whoever it is that slaves in the kitchen while I have a good time in shul. But anyway, yeah. I mean, he says you're not allowed to wash lettuce in water because you're going to kill the bugs. However,
What if you? I guess you have to check them first.
so according to this, you would have to do it before Shabbos. I mean, you can't eat lettuce without washing it.
No, you say check it.
Check it without washing it?
Yeah, like that.
Oh, just the light bugs? I don't know. I mean, that's going to be, you'll definitely find bugs there.
Yeah.
They check with the light bugs after they wash it.
Rabbi,
If you don't wash it, it's going to be disastrous.
Rabbi, if you
It's always like that. Lettuce is filled with bugs.
no,
I mean, it depends. It depends. Organic lettuce more, non-organic less. The hearts of the romaine have less because it's only the middle. But if you don't wash it, then there'll definitely be more bugs than if you do wash it. But I don't think any hashkacha just checks. They all wash it first. I mean,
No, I'm assuming also.
yeah.
so
Get rid of the killing the bug problem. I was saying.
Right.
Rabbi, if we check that and we see nothing in there, without to wash that, or we still cannot wash.
One more time. If what?
Before you wash it, you check. You see it's nothing there. You can wash it.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I just want to see his exact wording about this washing thing because I would like to understand it in a way that it's okay. He says, actually, no, maybe this is it. Oh, okay, you know what? I take it back. I take it back, my friends. He says you're not allowed to rinse it off in vinegar or salt water in order to remove the bugs because the bugs will die in this water. Mashma that in regular water, maybe they can survive.
You rinse it, it's
I
still
don't
alive.
know. Sorry?
Maybe because when you just rinse it in the water, it's still going to stay alive. See?
Yeah, that's what that was my heter in my mind all
Something
along.
secretion.
That maybe it's not going to die because who says it's going to go down the drain? Maybe it'll grab on the side and climb back up. You know.
Yeah,
Okay.
water doesn't kill bugs.
They can drown unless they live in water. I mean, land bugs I think can drown. But who says it's going to drown? Maybe even under the pipe, maybe there'll be a little pocket. You know, maybe it'll find whatever. It'll find its way to freedom. Who knows?
Is that something secretion? Is that a class?
I don't think it's a suburb segregation. I think it's a regular Shem Gavin. Suburb segregation is
So those are animals gathering secretion.
Animus Gavin is when it's not for sure going to happen. That's Animus Gavin. Doshin Gavin is when you're doing something that may or may not cause the malacha, and it's not for sure going to happen.
What's the difference?
Segregation is when it is for sure going to happen. How do you?
Subject
What's the
segregation.
difference? What's the difference in a regular davar shenoskana and subject segregation? Subject segregation is that you're missing information, and if you would have the information, you would know for sure that it's going to happen, or for sure not going to happen. I'll give you an example. The case where we had the flies may or may not be in the drawer, and you're closing the drawer. If the flies are in there, you're definitely doing segregation, but they may not be there. You understand? So that's just you're missing information. Whereas if you drag a bench across a backyard, it may tear up the backyard, it may not. Talking about a bench that's not very heavy. You're not missing any information. You've tried it in the past, and you know sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't do it. It's just a random thing that sometimes happens. So that's not called self-observation. That's called self-observation. Self-observation is you don't know, you don't remember if you turned off the light in the refrigerator or not. If you didn't, you're definitely turning it on. You just don't know. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the difference. No problem. Okay, so I have to amend this, by the way, to say one may not wash the leaves in salt water or vinegar.
What number is it?
This is 22. This is called the box. Okay, 23. One may use a nutcracker to open a nut even if it's not right before eating, because the nut, the shell of the nut is not considered mixed with the nut. The nut is sitting inside of it, but it's not considered mixed.
You have
with
to eat it right away.
No, you don't have to eat it right away.
So you
The peels that are attached to it, you have to eat it right away. But the nuts, the shells that are not attached to it, you don't have to eat it right away. That's the finish.
Didn't we talk about this with seeds, with like sunflower seeds? That you couldn't crack them, prepare them, and leave them out or something for later?
Did I say that?
It was seeds.
Did I say that? I'm in trouble if I said that.
No, it was
I
that
remember.
if you're going to crack the nuts or the seeds and use them right away, but you can't prepare like for guests later on and shell stuff in the morning of Shabbos. And that's maybe I heard it wrong.
Maybe I said that,
Yeah.
but the Shmiras Shabbos doesn't hold it. If I said that, it's not following the Shmiras Shabbos' opinion, and I don't remember where I got it from. But let me see. Let me just make sure
It
I'm
was
getting the option
I
here.
remember the case.
2 months ago, I bought some seeds.
Yeah, and it was that you can't shell them in the morning to use in the afternoon for guests or for something else. You shell them, you have to use them. Like I said, maybe I understood it wrong. You remember hearing that?
Yes, one there.
Yeah.
He say you put them in the empty cups. We talk about the waste. He puts not shell.
So you have nuts and you want to shell them, eat them later in the day. So you take whatever, 20 nuts, crack them, take the nut out, the part you're going to eat. And we just learned that that's not a problem. But my understanding was that you can only do that if you're going to eat them with the intent to eat them now. You can't just start creating a bowl of shelled nuts to eat later in the day or for guests or use in a salad or something.
But in a case that you eat whatever you want and you still have leftover, then maybe it's okay. But in your mind, you want to eat all of them.
Okay, I think I learned the wrong shot.
But in your
Thank you
mind,
for
if
bringing that
want
up.
to use all of them later, that's where.
Yeah. I didn't get the wrong shot yesterday when I wrote it. I got the wrong shot today when I was reading it.
Okay.
What I wrote yesterday and what he says is that you can crack it and leave it in, even for later use.
But you
But
can't.
you can't separate it out
Okay.
unless you plan to eat it right away.
Okay.
23, one may use a nutcracker to open a nut even if it's not right before eating, but one should only remove them completely right before eating and only the good from the bad. Got it? The Alter Rebbe is strict about this. I didn't write the Alter Rebbe forbids this because the Alter Rebbe doesn't forbid it. He just says Shouldn't do it. It's better not to. He has two issues with cracking nuts. First of all, he says that you may, by mistake, take the bad from the good. If you have shells and nuts, you may, not realizing, take the bad from the good. Second of all, he says that you're going to be left with a muktzah situation because the shells are going to be muktzah. Now, you are allowed to move muktzah that is bothering you, but you're not supposed to make a situation of muktzah that bothers you in the first place. So, not the best.
Find a solution if you have another kli with few good.
Why does that help?
Because it's mixed with some good. So you have, it's usually what we do.
Oh, so you mean you're moving it together with something else?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have another
From the
kli.
muktzah standpoint or the bars?
No, from the muktzah standpoint. Yeah, it's true. If the keli has good and bad, it's a basis for both, you could move it. But the Alter Rebbe says it's because of these issues, it's better not to do it. It's not that there aren't ways around the issues. You know what I'm saying? With the boyer also, you could just make sure to do the good. But the Alter Rebbe is concerned that you may end up doing it the wrong way. So he says just to
How about
better not to do it.
with the hard-boiled eggs?
Same thing.
So it'd be the same concept.
The eggs become
but don't pull it out until you're ready to eat it.
until right before eating. You eat it right away, but you're preparing for a meal right now. You can
And then
do
the
it.
eggshell is muktzah.
Eggshells muktzah, same issue. You should basically, the best thing to do is to simply throw it into the garbage right away. Instead of making a pile of eggshells and then saying, well, this bothers me, better to just crack it directly into the garbage.
Crack it over the garbage.
Yeah, well, you can crack it on the side.
But what I'm saying is, so that's not a bore issue if you're going to be preparing. I'm going back to the nut analogy. So let's say you want to crack the eggs, you have guests coming in half an hour. Can you crack the eggs, throw the eggshells out immediately and then use the eggs? Or do you have to crack them, leave them in the shell?
No, so that depends on how you define right before the meal.
Mm-hmm.
As was mentioned yesterday, some say right before the meal means when the meal's about to start.
Yeah.
Some say half an hour, some say an hour.
Yeah.
So that depends on the opinions. But, yeah.
So if we say 1 hour.
Yeah.
So you can prepare before you come to synagogue.
Before you come to synagogue, which shul finishes in an hour?
No, before you come.
Mincha, before you go to Mincha, you can prepare.
No, let's say the wife in the house, and she knows that the 12 is finished Shachrit, so she can start at 11 or 11:30. That's half
An hour before the meal starts.
1 hour.
An hour before the meal starts.
Yeah.
According to that opinion.
She's allowed to do
According to that opinion.
Yeah.
Some say she should only start when the husband leaves shul, so that when he comes home, you're ready to start.
She has to see it with the TV.
No, he knows. She knows every Shabbos. It finishes at a certain time, more or less.
Okay, like if you leave at 12, and he gets, then the time she's starting.
Yeah, correct. Okay. One may only remove the candy wrappers that are stuck to the candy immediately before eating. Same thing. One may peel a bit for extra fruit to serve his guests generously.
Who said 1 hour? Sorry.
I don't remember.
You said what?
1 hour. That you can prepare 1 hour before the meal. I don't remember. If I would have learned this, I would be able to answer that. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Yes.
What are the number references you have in the notes here?
To the Shmiras Shabbos Kehilchso.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Ya ba 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 ba. Ya ba 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 ba. Can a woman go to the mikveh without an attendant? This is the only way she will practically go. Now, what does the class say?
Well, this is related to what we're learning.
No, but you should remember it. You should.
What's the question? Can a woman?
Say
She should have someone. Bless them.
Was it can she go
I say-
only if, what was it?
Can a woman go to the mikveh without an attendant? This is the only way she will practically go.
She has no choice.
Meaning who? The attendant meaning what?
The woman doesn't want to go. She doesn't want anybody to see her like that,
Including the mikvah lady?
including the mikveh lady. That's the question.
say
Yeah, she knows the halacha, yes,
to
Rabbi.
go to the mikvah and tell the lady that I would not like you to look at me until I'm under she can't say anything
She
anyway.
doesn't want to do that.
I wouldn't even say that. I would say she should
She should.
examine herself in the mirror. There's 2 points in the mikvah lady. First of all, she checks her.
She's not having it. I'm saying well, also legally trust her.
I'm saying, first of all, she checks her, but you can do that with a mirror. And second of all, she makes sure that all the hairs go under the water. So she should just feel when she's under the water, she should feel that all the hair is under. So
If
what I would say,
if she knows
she's not going to go otherwise.
if she knows the halakha and everything is okay, right, Rabbi?
It's still not the best. Only if she wouldn't go otherwise. Anyway,
So we said to her, yes, she can go.
I didn't say that.
No, he said
I-
only if there's
I
no
didn't
other
say
way.
that. I asked her if it's relevant for tonight, and then we'll take it from there. If it's not relevant for tonight, then we won't deal with it tonight.
Why wouldn't you ask her if she would go with the mikvah lady? Maybe she thinks the mikvah lady's there. Maybe if it's her first time. Sounds like it's
I'm not
one of-
asking, because if it's not relevant for tonight, I'll deal with it tomorrow. I don't have to get
Maybe you
into
don't
it.
think for our discussion.
Oh, for our
Yeah, that's what
discussion,
I'm
what do you mean?
No, I'm
What?
asking if it sounds like it's one of her first times. Why wouldn't this question happen a long time ago?
I don't know.
So
I don't know anything about
let's say it's the first time she's going, she doesn't want to go. So why wouldn't you try to convince her? Listen,
Of course, try to convince her. Bakasha.
Oh.
Bakasha. I'm giving you
I
the.
said I wouldn't try to convince her.
No, if she knows that she doesn't want to, I wouldn't try to sneak it in and say, "We'll do this." And
Because then you can turn
No,
around.
maybe she thinks the lady's getting
if it's the first time, yeah, if it's the first time, you have to explain, of course. There are women today that are hesitant about different aspects about Taras Mishpacha. Some women don't want to ask rabbis. They don't want to talk
What are
about the
those
personal
ladies that we-
yoetzet.
Yoetzet.
I had a
And
guest.
they get it wrong a lot of times.
Who said? I
Didn't
don't know.
didn't we learn that the yoetzet sometimes that's a wrong?
With me, you learned it?
So do
Not
rabbis.
with me. How do I know what a yoetzet gets right or wrong? I never tested one of them. I'm not going to say that.
Usually most of them are pretty fluent with the
Yeah, I assume they learn it. Okay, is it relevant for tonight? No. Getting married after Pesach, or a husband to be is from a very yeshivish world. She's from a very anti-religious Israeli world. Learning her halachas, which she was against before, and she will only go to the mikveh with no attendant. Not urgent for tonight. We'll be in touch. All right. It's a case.
The rabbi today, when I told the shir that I went to, he was discussing very crazy cases.
Yeah, let's hear.
He was discussing what's the percentages of couples who have children within the first year. 85% of couples have a child if they're trying. 85% of couples, and it's 93 in the second year, only 95 in the third year. So it goes up very slightly. So he saw a woman, he dealt with a woman that for 2 years she was only with her husband a few times because her husband was a Baal Tshuva. And he would only be with her from Shabbos to Shabbos. That's what he thought. He was on this Shmiras, after Chatzos also.
And not even mikvah night?
No. And only that. So
Okay.
they 2 years they weren't having children.
Uh-huh.
So they were so worried. So that he tried to get into the situation. It wasn't a couple situations. So pretty much they were just mamas weren't having tashmish barely ever.
Yeah,
Happened to be.
yeah,
They were having tashmish.
yeah.
So he said that's something that happens. What was a few cases I just cited before? The woman's doing her bdikas in the wrong hole, and she doesn't know where it is. There was a couple that doesn't know how to. There's a woman that didn't. What was it? Didn't have pretty much unless she saw the mikvah, the bdika cloth as white as it went in. She heard from her grandfather lived in Morocco. That's what it has to be. So she thought that's what it has to be until 2 years later. She asked, when can I get that?
So
2 years.
Something like that. So
I know women that ask shilas. They don't consider it a thing, but women that ask shilas with anything on it, they'll just bring all their things.
no, for sure. No, I would
Yeah.
not for sure. But this lady was, unless it wasn't, she didn't any brown, any yellow. She was just hustling
Yeah.
herself until
Yeah.
she was wrong. I don't know, I can think of other cases. Very funny cases.
Yeah.
I saw the this app being really promoted recently. Is it? And they're saying it's
Tahor?
very reliable.
The Tahor app?
Yeah, the Tahor app.
I saw too.
The picture.
Yeah, it's good for a person that wouldn't go to an actual Rav.
Do they write that on this?
They do write it, but if you read the fine print, I mean, how many people read the fine print of
They don't
apps?
have it, it's like when you open up the app, that's what shows up.
Maybe they do. Maybe they do. I mean, the concept is not a bad concept for people that would actually not go to a Rav because they don't, whatever, they're squeamish. It's good.
And they can be anonymous?
They could be anonymous,
That's
absolutely.
my point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but anonymous has existed where you drop off the Dika.
Yeah, that's also true. It's also true. But there is something to be said about actually seeing it, feeling it, texture.
Also, there's the light issue.
The light. So
I remember the Rav was checking the Dika clock in the room. You have to go to the room, you have to turn lights off, put your light on. And here you said it was bad, and there you said it was okay. That's like.
Yeah, that's
they're
breaking
problems for themselves, not breaking.
No, that's a very sensitive color. That's a very sensitive color. Most colors, 90% of colors are not ones that need over, checking and that sort of thing.
Really, it's just either good or bad.
It's either good or bad.
That 10% is whether it's
10%,
a little bit of red.
Yeah, those are where it's touch and go. And those, the Torah app, the Rabbanim don't have to answer. They can say clearly, this one you have to bring to a real Rav.
Oh,
At an actual live Rav.
Right?
No, they don't have to answer. They don't have to answer. Yeah.
But wouldn't it be with a? That's such a big mistake if someone makes. I'm just saying, like a picture being taken.
But
who's saying the resolution's there? Who's saying the light was there? Maybe it's a completely different lighting.
But it's kind of like what you just said
the
about
way,
this lady. If that's the only way.
The way they made the app is that first of all, it only works with a phone that has a certain number of pixels, and they instruct you how to take it with a certain kind of lighting. It could be that it doesn't even upload if it doesn't have that kind of lighting. I think it's something like that.
Oh, okay.
If I'm not mistaken, they set it up.
Rabbis or a Rav who's behind this?
I told her, the woman that the main woman behind it, she called me a long time ago. She asked me if I would sign on to it. I said, you don't need me. You need a big Rav. If a big Rav says it's okay, then fine. Then who am I to say yes or no? And if a big Rav doesn't say it's okay, even if I say it's okay, it's not okay. So what difference does it make? So I recommend she go to Rabbi Schechter, Rabbi Herschel Schechter from YU. I think she did. If I'm not mistaken, she went there. I'm not involved in it, so I don't know. Anyway, so we continue and we say, no, I just know he's a big person, that's all. I had a share or two of his. Okay, so when we peel, okay, so this is a chiddush, by the way, not everybody agrees with it. The Shmiras Shabbos says you're allowed to peel extra fruit to serve to your guests generously. Generally, you're only allowed to peel fruit right before eating, according to the Shmiras Shabbos. We said some say if it's stuck to it, it's not boyer at all. But if you hold that it is boyer, you can only do it right before eating. So you want to serve your guests, and you don't want to serve them exactly. You want to give them a bit extra. Is that called right before eating? No, because they're not going to finish it. But it's right before serving. Is that considered okay or not? So the Shmiras Shabbos says yes. Okay. And there's other poskim that say not just about peeling fruits, but about in general, boyer. But I did see that other not all poskim disagree. Agree, sorry. The Yalkut Yosef brings poskim that disagree and say, no, that's not called derech achila. That's called, honoring your guests. But it doesn't say you can do boyer to honor your guests. It says you can do that boyer to feed people. So he only allows what you think they will actually eat. Not so that the last person won't be embarrassed to take the last piece because it's the last piece on the plate. What they will actually eat, practically eat. So that's a bit of a difference there.
Yeah. והשאיר למלות קערה כדי להניחה לפני האורחים לאלתר. וידעו שאין האורחים אוכלים כל מה שמניח בקערה שבוודאי יישאר.
Exactly.
אלא שבר שיעור קערה מלאה מפני הכבוד. וגנאי הוא להביא לפני האורחים קערה חסרות. חסרות. איש שרי כהגבנה עולה. הוא כתב, דבורר אצלו מסברה, דבורר אצלו מסברה דכל קהי לית לנבה ומותר. וגם זה נחשב לצורך הסעודה ולאלתר.
Okay. I hear. Yeah, that's the Shmiras Shabbos holds as well. Okay, nice. Very good.
Who says no?
Yalkut Yosef brings many poskim that say no, and that's how he actually paskins, that you should not.
קשה לסמוך על סברה הזו במקום חשש איסור סקילה בלי ראיה ברורה.
Who says that?
says Ravanya.
Yeah, so that's what he's quoting.
ומשום כבוד הבריות נמי קשה להקל על חשש סקילה. וכל שכן, לפי מה שכתב בתרומת הדשן, שיש לומר שאין להקל אפילו בשבות דרבנן לצורך לכם, שנזדמנו לסעוד בסעודה בביתו, אבל לא נתארחו אצלו.
Okay, so there you have it. Okay, we continue and we say, yeah.
Switch bowls.
26 and 27 I explained already, so I want to skip that. 28, one shouldn't remove dates from their cluster on Shabbos. Some are lenient. Removing dates from the cluster. What's the big deal? Dates from the cluster.
Where do we ever have such a thing? Who has a date from a cluster? Who has a cluster?
Who has a cluster of dates?
With clusters of grapes.
Cluster of grapes is okay.
Well, I mean, in a sense.
Yeah. Basically, it's a chiddush, but the Kehilchso Shulchan says it, that removing dates from a cluster could be mefarik. He brings Rishonim that say mefarik does not necessarily mean removing something from inside something else. That's a normal translation of mefarik. But even removing something from the place that it grew, even if it's not inside, is also mefarik. Why can you do it for grapes? Because grapes, you generally do it in the kitchen. So that's not mefarik. Similar to what we discussed in the past. Did we discuss in the past? I don't know if we did. That the difference between things in the field and not in the field. Yeah, we did discuss it. Why it is that you're allowed to crack open the nuts and you're not allowed to take the outer peel off the nuts. Because that's normally done on the field, so that's called dash. And this normally done in the house, that's called derech achila. So he says the same thing, it says the same thing about clusters of grapes. That is not mefarik, as opposed to clusters of dates. Again, who has them? I don't know. That could be mefarik, according to some Rishonim. It's just an interesting thing to know about. As far as the peel and boiled milk should only be removed with some of the milk or part of the milk. One may not strain vegetables from soup or vice versa. One may squeeze out excess liquid from vegetables if the liquid is being discarded. One may squeeze out excess liquid from vegetables if the liquid is being discarded. This is not really a Siman Shin Yud test discussion. It's more of a Siman Shin Chaf discussion. That you're allowed to squeeze out. If you have a vegetable, it's a pickle, it's too juicy. You want to squeeze some out, but you're just throwing out the liquid. You're not saving it. But that's not the derech of mefarik. So that's allowed.
But you're not drinking it.
Not drinking it. You're just squeezing it out, throwing out the liquid, and eating the vegetable. That's okay.
You pour it into your mouth.
That you can't do. You can do it in your mouth, but you can't squeeze it into your mouth. One may not strain the water from noodles. That seems obvious, yeah? You may not strain the water from noodles. You made pasta right before Shabbos. You can't strain the water out of them. Yes? Maskim?
when we said if we put the basket and the water going to the drain.
What? A basket to drain
לא
noodles?
basket, זה סלסלה כזאת ככה.
To drain noodles? איסור דאורייתא.
So the right?
ודאי.
Oh.
That's a kli miuchad לכך. kli miuchad. I mean, I'm not going to say ודאי, it's a deraisa. I don't want to say ודאי, chas v'shalom, but maybe, very close, very close.
Right, because we don't cook the pasta on Shabbat. So,
I'm saying, no, you cooked it before Shabbos, but to drain it. Only the reason I'm saying maybe it's not deraisa, because we did have a svara that liquids and solids maybe are not considered mixed. So it depends. Depends on the shittas there. Now, the Shmiras Shabbos says you cannot use a slotted spoon if your intention is to drain out the liquid. But to drain out the liquid. But if you are happy to have the liquid, you just happen to be using a slotted spoon. Some of it comes out, some of it doesn't come out. Then he says it's okay.
What about like to pick out corn?
So what's the question?
Are you allowed to use a slotted spoon even though your intention is to take out the corn? And you're obviously using a slotted spoon instead of a regular spoon.
If you're using a slotted spoon with the intention to leave behind the liquid, then it's a problem.
Why else would you be using a slotted spoon?
If you're using it because it happens to be the spoon that's nearby, and you're not intending to do it.
Right, so majority of the times that's fine.
Right.
Picking out that type of spoon.
No.
So our body says you're allowed to use this. It doesn't give them to exclusion or
You sure?
necessary conditions that the Rebbe said.
Are you sure? Because on the Yalkut Yosef, I'm pretty sure he says the same thing.
But I'd love to hear the Yalkut Yosef.
And I'm pretty sure he says the same thing, that you can use it only if it's not your intention. Let me just find it.
Please. Does it quickly? What's quickly? Why quickly?
Because then it's not for sure going to drain. Or it's not for sure all going to drain. Some of it will, some of it won't.
Maybe if he's playing one of these, like he got down and he's.
Yeah, that's for sure not good.
Do you mind if I ask a question while you're looking it up?
I don't know if I'm able to listen, but go ahead. Complicated stuff here. I'm not finding it, so I'll listen to you while I look some more. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So the regular spoon, if this was the can, would you be able to move the content to the side of the can and then push up so that the liquid will not come with it? Meaning it's not just pulling up. I don't want the water from the corn, so I put it to the side and then pick up. You know what I'm saying?
No.
I don't really know.
Oh, you wedge the corn against the side so the liquid will drain down. The question there is, I mean, here's the thing. No, it's not sleep. I don't think it's sleep. No, that's good. Here's the thing. Whenever you're using a keli, like a spoon, if the keli is functioning as an extension of your hand, then it's mutter. What's an extension of your hand? Meaning to say, it's longer than your hand, so you're using it. it's easier to get liquids. Now, in this case, you don't care for liquids, but that's why you're using it. Or it's just that you don't want to get your hands dirty, so that's why you're using it. All that is not considered boyer b'kli. But if it helps you do the boyer better, then it's called boyer b'kli. So I'm not sure about that. I mean, it could be you could probably do something with your hands. Why not doing your hands? Because you don't want to get them dirty. So that would seem to be just regular, like you could do it with your hands. Why not? I mean, you're taking the good, you're draining the bad out as you're taking the good. You're not doing a separate action to drain out the bad. You're taking the good, holding it there so that it drains out. I think it's okay.
There's someone who drinks the juice, and then you won't have that problem.
Hard to find that. Probably can, but it's hard. I'm not finding it. I don't know. I don't know where it was. Okay, I'm right back where I started from, and I'm not saying it. Okay, right, there we go. And we say, "33. One may pour out the top of tea that isn't mixed in with leaves." That goes without saying. One may use a fork or spoon with purpose. We just said that. 35. Using a cloth to strain a pesach may be a problem if one is makbid to strain.
I don't have these. Do you mind just saying them out loud?
Oh, you don't have these? 34 is what I just said. One may use a fork or spoon if the purpose is not to get one's hands dirty, or to be able to reach something, or because it's a liquid that helps you pick it up in the case of a spoon. But if they actually aid in the selecting, it's forbidden. Okay? 35. Using a cloth to strain on Pesach may be a problem for one is makbid to strain. Now, some people, for Pesach, they will put an extra strainer on the sink. Like they'll take a shmata and they'll tie it around the sink, cover Pesach. Make sure chametz doesn't come out. Why would chametz come out? I don't know. What would the cloth catch that the sink already has a thing at the end of it? I don't know, but that's what they probably did in Europe, and that's what they do. So the pashtus, it should be okay because there's actually nothing in the water. You're not actually straining anything out. You're just doing it because that's what people do. On the other hand, there is an opinion that says that even when you're straining out something that is really nothing, but if it bothers you, it becomes something. So the Shmiras questions the minhag that people have to do it. If they're makbid, if they only drink such water, he questions that minhag. On the other hand, I saw in the Yalkut Yosef, he brings many poskim that say that since there is actually nothing there, just because they decide they don't want to drink it doesn't mean there's actually any boyer happening, and therefore it's mutter. So that is lemaisa. Many people have that they do use that on Pesach, even on Yom Tov, or on Shabbos, that matter. Okay, now here's a very interesting chiddush, my friend. Listen carefully. Listen carefully to this chiddush. So you have tea leaves in a little teapot kind of thing. We don't really use these things nowadays, but what it is that you have like tea essence in there mixed with leaves, and at the top of it there's like a little strainer so that when you pour out the water, the leaves stay behind. Now the top of it, when the leaves settle, is for sure you can pour out because that's not mixed. But when you get towards the bottom and it's mixed, it becomes a shaila. So if there would be no strainer there, you could always take what you want and leave behind what you don't want. For immediate use, it's no problem. What about using the strainer? So the Shmir Shabbos has a chiddush. Listen to this chiddush. He says any kli that its function is to do breira right before achila is not called a kli hamiyuchad for breira. What's a kli hamiyuchad breira? It's a kli hamiyuchad for forbidden breira. A kli that's miyuchad for permissible breira, b'vakasha, what's the problem? The whole function of this tea, of this little teapot, is to pour it into hot water that you're ready to drink. It's not for something you're going to prepare for later. So the function of this kli is for derech achila kind of breira. That's not a forbidden breira kli. That's a permissible breira kli. He says the same thing about a salt shaker with rice in it. Some place can say, how can you use it? You're keeping in the rice, doing bread with a kli. Shmiras Shabbos says no. The whole purpose of the salt shaker is to put in the salt right before you eat. In the kitchen, you generally don't have a salt shaker. Kitchen, you use your big salt because it's not enough to have a salt shaker. Salt shaker's function is right before you eat. So that's not a forbidden breira. That's a permissible breira. So you can do it with a kli, with the sort of kli that is made for immediate use breira. Nice chiddush. That's when you expect me to learn Be'iyun and learn the Alter Rebbe and know all the opinions, and I can't tell you that. I can just tell you what I learned.
How's the Alter Rebbe hold? He holds that it's okay?
I didn't see anything about this particular question, right? Using a kli that is made for immediate use prayer. I didn't see anything in the Alter before that. The easy source for that, without learning everything be'iyun, would be to look in Rabbi Farkash's book, because he goes through the Alter Rebbe. So, if I find an easy answer, I'll tell you right now. Yeah. You can go, no problem. You don't need my permission. There's no minyan anyway. Not even close. Okay, I'm not finding it here, so I'll have to save it for next week if we're lucky. Sorry.
It sounds good.
It sounds good. Yes, it does sound good.
The problem is if you think everything that sounds good, I don't know if I'm still holding by anything.
Yeah.
Is that called cherry picking?
Yeah. No, Chabad should follow Alter Rebbe. I just don't know if the Alter Rebbe has a clear sock on this question. If one makes tea in a permissible way, some printed straight his the strainer. So we said that already. If one makes tea in a permissible way on Shabbos, kli shlishi, one may remove the bag with a spoon together with other liquids. Make sense? If a person, I'm on 37. If you print it out today, it's 37. If you made a tea with a kli shlishi, the Shmiras Shabbos says the way to take out the tea bag is to use it with a spoon and take out some of the liquid together with the tea bag.
Well, the bag's in the liquid. When you take it out, you take the liquid. You just scoop it up.
Trying to get
Where do they have marathon? Oh, nice.
That is, it's exactly 11 minutes.
Slacha.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Your question again?
If you're taking the bag with a spoon, you're saying not just to pull it out. You take it with a spoon and take some of the liquid. I'm saying you can't take it out without any liquid when you're doing that.
Right. No, but the point is you should take actively some liquid, not the liquid that comes, which you would really rather it doesn't come. It just comes because it's forced to come. You should actively take some of the liquid. Similar to what we say about peeling. When you peel, you have to do right before you eat. So the question is, well, whenever I peel, I'm taking some of the food with it because it's inevitable. But that small amount, because it's inevitable, that's not considered like you're taking the food. That's just part of the psoilus, you know what I'm saying? So the liquid that's in it, I don't think it's considered, what you want in this case.
When we say edible peel,
Yeah.
like an apple or things like that,
Yeah.
does that mean that there's some fruits or vegetables that if you peel it, it's peel's thrown away?
Right.
But if it's on the fruit or vegetable and you eat it that way without peeling it,
Right.
it's edible. So
Right.
what determines?
So that is what I call an edible peel. And some say that that's not brera at all to peel because that's part of the apple itself. So the inedible peel would be something like a banana, something like avocado, anything that's not edible. Cantaloupe, that sort of thing.
So is there a difference between cup, second cup, and the third cup? The same thing. To take the tea maker.
To make a tea?
No, to take, yeah.
Can you make a tea with a klisheni? Is that your question?
Yeah, make it with klisheni.
Klisheni, you should definitely not make a tea. You should make a tea with a klisheni.
I mean, what is already one? Give another cup, extra cup. Okay.
The second cup is klishlishi. Second cup, the first cup is klisheni. Third cup is klishlishi. Okay, yes, that's correct. What you said about the odor, I think it's the smell of being like a perfume that I heard could pose the problem. So I suppose it's better to try it out. Here's a link. See you live. Okay. Very good. We continue and we say, let me just see this link that David sent me. I used deodorant on Shabbos or Bechaim Raskin. Let's take deodorant. It's deodorant spray. It's not granular water, spread into a surface. Usage like winnowing. Yeah. He says that. When spraying against the surface, both types of spray may be used. Okay, fine. Okay. We continue and we say, if one makes tea in a personal way in Shabbos, klish lishi. Okay, by the way, the Yalkut Yosef holds, and other places can hold, I've seen this, that a tea bag is not considered boirer because it's a large solid in a liquid. We said before that some say even a fly is not boirer because it floats on the top of the liquid. But at least there it's small, so it's mixed. But a large solid is not. That's what the Yalkut Yosef says. So he says, for example, you're allowed to take eggs out of the water or the water out of the eggs. Either one. It's not considered mixed. Because they're so big, they're not like mixed. You could see they're clear, they're separate. So he says the same thing about a tea bag. 38, preparing for a large Suda includes all the dishes that one plans to serve at that meal. That seems self-evident, but nevertheless. 39, it seems that Sfarim on a shelf are not considered mixed. All right, this is a chiddush, my friends. Sfarim in a pile are considered mixed. You shouldn't sort the pile. You have Sidurim and Chumashim mixed up in a pile. You shouldn't sort it out and separate it out. On a shelf, Reb Shlomo Zalman says in the Shmiras Shabbos, it's not considered mixed because they're lying next to each other. You can see each one. It's easy to find.
On the shelf, you're talking this way rather than this way.
Exactly. And I'm not talking about a shelf that's this way and that way, every which way. I'm talking about an organized shelf. So because it's separate and you see each one, it's not considered mixed.
If you have a shelf that has some form this way and a pile next to it, you can't take from this?
No, then you could take from the ones that are standing straight. But the same thing would apply based on this, would apply to a wine rack, where each one is separate, even though they're close to each other, but they're in a separate thing. You can see them clearly.
I had this question at Shabbos when I was up north at my daughter's house.
Yeah.
My son-in-law has a big thing with a bunch of bottles of wine.
Yeah.
And I said to him, can you take it? He said, well, they're all different. So they're not together. They're not one leaning on the other.
Right.
So I didn't see a problem. But what happens if you have a pile of bottles?
Yeah, if they are mixed, then you can only take what you want for immediate use.
Right, what they want. In this case, they're only going to take what they want for immediate use.
Right, but sometimes, let's say you want to chill it,
Uh-huh.
so you take it the night before, it's not immediate use.
Right.
So then it would be a problem if it's mixed. It's okay. One may take a drink out of the fridge in order for it to warm up a bit. Even if it's mixed in the fridge with other drinks, but if you're taking it out to be able to eat it, and to be able to eat it, you want it to warm up a bit, that's all called tzarech achila. When I put the color in appropriate piles, his intent is not to sort. Listen carefully. This is important, my friends. Very important and dakistic difference. Dakistic, you know what that means? No. It's not even Yiddish word. It's a yeshivish word.
What's the word?
Dakistic. Dakas means it's very, very, very thin, like very slight difference. Very slight difference, my friend. If you are drying the dishes, the cutlery, Shlomo Zalman says, you can pick up each one, dry it, and put it where it belongs. Why? You're picking it up, you want to dry it. Now you have it in your hand. Put it away where it belongs. Why not? However, he says, you cannot do that if you're not drying it. If your whole purpose is to sort, you can't say, well, I'm going to sort by picking up a random thing. Because what you're doing is you're sorting. You're just not sorting in an organized way. That's still called sorting. When you're drying, and once it's dry, you want to put it away, you're allowed to put it away where it belongs because you didn't do an act of sorting. But when you're sorting, even though you're doing it by picking up a random thing, that's still called sorting. Big chiddush, and it's very relevant.
So you need to have in your mind that you just dry it after.
After you dry it, you can put it away where it belongs. But your main purpose has to be to dry.
Yeah.
Your main purpose can't be to sort, because then it's just a complicated way of sorting.
Well, that means you have to pick up whatever the items, spoons together, or
No, whatever comes to your hand.
but
you
what
can't-
happens if you pick up a few at the same time?
Okay, so then
Then you can't.
you dry each one and put it down, put it where it belongs. Okay, it is forbidden.
Nothing much in the drawing part.
Okay. It's forbidden to remove milchik from fleshy color, vice versa, unless it's for immediate use of the item removed, because milchik and fleshes is considered a different species. Alter disagrees. Like I said already, he does not consider a halachic status as a different species. We have to look into that next week and hopefully give you some sources for that.
So therefore, you can't, according to the Alter Rebbe, you can't.
According to the Alter Rebbe, you could. Or the Mishnah, according to the Shmiras Shabbos, you can't. According to the Alter Rebbe, you could. Because they're the same. If they're the same, except for milchik and fleshes. If they're a different species, which usually they are actually, usually one looks different than the other anyway, so it's different species. But the very fact that one is milchik, one is fleshik, that is not an essential reason for it to be a different species according to the Rebbe. If the pages of a book came out, one may not put them back in order unless it is for immediate use of reading the book. Okay, that seems obvious, but the Shmiras Shabbos spells it out. And we are going to stop here because Yalkut Yosef that I wrote goes on for some time, and we'll have to finish it anyway. So I hope to finish up Boyer next week in Mitzvah Shem. I want to do both the other Achronim that I didn't finish, and I also want to do Boyer on Yontif. Since Yontif is coming up, I want to discuss Boyer on Yontif next week, and
That's it, right?
and that's it.
What's the schedule for classes?
We're meeting next week. The following week we're
That's Erev Pesach.
off. For the week before Pesach, and then the following week is Pesach, we're off, and then the following week we're back. 2 weeks, just a 2 week break.
Right, I'm thinking the 3-week break.
Okay, we'll give it to you. You've earned it.
I'll be working on staying with 4 grandchildren.